This is the all-electric Kia EV6, and Kia have pulled an absolute blinder. There's probably a lot of people that watch these reviews and go, I never would have thought that I would have had a Kia in my driveway until now, and we've Tesla to thank for that in part, because they just ripped up the rule book. Badges don't mean the same as they did before, because Tesla didn't have the 100-year history of Mercedes or BMW to stand on the shoulders of. Neither does Kia, which is known for making more economical, practical cars. But secretly in the background, they've gradually been improving their quality and desirability of cars. And then the electrification came along, and along with their sister company Hyundai, they built this eGMP platform for the EV6 and the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which I also reviewed. And then they've built something like this, which stands on its own. It's a totally different car to anything that Kia have produced in the past. This is something that, seriously, BMW drivers, Tesla drivers, Mercedes, Audi drivers can now actually consider and have in their driveway, because the quality is there, and because of Tesla, the badges maybe mean less nowadays. This was what car of the year this year. It is just winning all the awards left, right and centre, because it is just an excellent all-round family car. I've been driving it for a couple of days and I just can't fault it. So what have we got? How much is it? So all electric. This is a rear wheel drive model, one motor, 77 kilowatt hour battery with 300-ish miles real world range. So right up there with Tesla, because the Koreans' battery technology is that good. I'm getting about 4 miles per kilowatt hour multiplied by 77. You're getting well over 300 miles in that. So that's excellent. So immediately, I had reviewed the i4 M50. Didn't do anywhere near that sort of range. The Mustang Mach-E, same story. All these cars coming to the UK are all 77 kilowatt hours, so they start about 44 grand for the EV6 Air. The base car is enormously well equipped. I'll put some of the equipment list on screen because I can't remember it all, but you're talking things like Apple CarPlay, 2 big 12-inch screens and a lovely big panel, heated seats, heated steering wheel. That car comes in 18s, but it still has the big battery. Then you move up to the GT line, which this is a GT Line-S, but it has the sort of nicer styling. The S comes with 20-inch wheels and the GT line comes with 19s. I think you can option different wheels as well, but it just looks great. It looks nothing else on the road. It looks like nothing else in Kia's range. A i4 is a 4 Series platform share. The Q4 e-tron is a similar looking car to the rest of the Audis. Now, of course, you can argue that the high-end premium Taycan and stuff like that looks totally different. These cars start at £44,000, so they're right up against the likes of the Tesla Model 3, but to live with. I'll say it now, this car is better than the Model 3, and it's down to the packaging, but it just looks great as well. No frog eye at the front of this to complain about. Look at the smart styling, look at the headlights. Now, plastic headlight here, but it just has lots going on. Nice piano black. It just all ties in well together, especially with those sort of turbine looking throwing star style alloys. So this rolls on, as I say, 20s on Continental tyres. The GT Line-S has a sunroof as well. Otherwise, it's pretty similar to the GT line, but it just looks in proportion smart. It is a big car, but it will sit 5 adults comfortably. We'll turn it around, we'll look at the back, we'll look inside, and we'll take it for a drive and see if you get as excited about it as I am. There's no doubt about it, there is some bold styling going on. There's these lovely flip out door handles which fold flush into the body. Then you have this sort of high rake and flat back end. It just looks like nothing. If you didn't have a Kia badge on it, you just wouldn't know what it was. It's just this entirely bespoke platform. You've about 500 litres of space in the boot. Electric tailgate only comes with the GT Line-S model, which this is. Load cover, watch and learn, Model Y. Okay, it doesn't have the 800 litres of space a Model Y has, but it still has plenty, very practical. 2 buttons to fold the seats down like the Model Y. Very practical indeed. There is some space underneath the boot floor, but unfortunately you can't fit the charge cable pack and then fold it flat. But the good news is there is a small frunk, using the manual release here, under the bonnet, which will take the charging pack nicely. As this is the rear wheel drive model, it has a decent amount of space. The car with the front motor has less. Inside the EV6 is absolutely fantastic as well. Just like its sister car, the Ioniq 5, so well packaged. Flat floor, skateboard architecture, all the batteries are underneath me, so it just gives us this wonderful feeling of space. This huge double screen array is fantastic. Turn off my podcast there. Apple CarPlay, something Tesla doesn't have, and people say, well, the Tesla OS is excellent, but people love CarPlay and Android Auto, and this car has it, along with lots of sort of got a haptic display panel which works really well. The system, the software is absolutely fine, but you have a great view, not just as low a rake of screen as in the Tesla Model 3, but you sit a wee bit higher than the Model 3. Certainly the feeling of space and brightness and airiness is superb. This centre console, the drinks holders are just a perfect position. You have a wireless charger, okay, only one, and they only come in the GT line and the GT Line-S, and then there's a GT actually at the top of the range, but it comes here very close to the driver. You're not having to stoop down like in the Tesla, but just loads of space and pockets, and a USB-C and a USB-A port there, and a couple of 12-volt ports. Vehicle to load as well, 240 volt, just like the Ioniq 5, so you can plug your coffee machine in or your bouncy castle or whatever you want. You get 3.6 kilowatts at the plug. Very comfortable seats. The sort of half leather might look a bit strange. It's got sort of black and white leather and then like an Alcantara style centre, but very comfortable. And in the GT Line-S, cooled seats as well as heated seats, which is a very nice option indeed. I love the 2-spoke steering wheel. I love the fact that I have a few buttons on like a Tesla to control things, and it makes moving from a non-EV to an EV a lot easier, but with having all the advantages of having a platform dedicated to EV, unlike the i4 for example, which is a share and it's sort of a mishmash. This feels a lot more deliberate in the way it's built, but just loads of space. Same story in the back. You can sit three adults in the back, no problem. And here I am in the back, sitting behind myself. Loads of headroom. Okay, not a panoramic roof. As talked about, it has a sunroof, but very comfortable. Decent armrest with this sort of adjustable cup holder and cubby hole, and a ski hatch as well, and of course 60-40 split seats. The only thing I will say is that the front seat sits a bit low. I can't tuck my feet under it, but as you can see, for someone who's north of 6 foot, it's very comfortable. These sort of holders here, USB-C on the edge of the seats as well. Even the way these seats are shaped, it's just to maximise the space here on the flat floor. So we're out on the road in the Kia EV6, and I'm on a back road here, and straight away something that strikes me is just how compliant the EV6 is. This is a fairly uneven road. On this type of road, its sister car, the Ioniq 5, would have sort of fallen apart a bit. It just didn't have any sort of composure over broken surfaces. This is a much more tightly sprung car, but although I found the Ioniq 5 to flow and be very comfortable and compliant on A roads and dual carriageways and stuff, the EV6 doesn't seem to suffer, even though it rides so well on a back road. It's just perfectly judged for our typical road use here in Northern Ireland, and that's great. Another thing I love about this EGMP platform that the EV6 shares with the Hyundai are the flappy paddles that you can choose the level of regeneration. So at the moment I'm on one pedal driving, so I can just lift off and the car will just slow down really quickly. That's very useful for in-town driving, start-stop traffic, that sort of stuff. And then a simple click and it just frees it up for a bit of freewheeling when you need to on a dual carriageway or a motorway. Everything is the great glass house. Everything's clearly laid out. As I said before, it just doesn't have that as large and as low slung windscreen as the Tesla Model 3, but it's still very, very good. The GT Line-S that I'm in has the heads-up display as well, which works superbly well. The rear view visibility is fine. It doesn't have a rear wiper. It's quite a small opening, but it's not tiny by any stretch of the imagination, and all the controls are very logically laid out. And you know, with Apple CarPlay in here, we have a level of button count, and it is welcome over the Tesla. The Tesla, you do need to train yourself, and you have to become that sort of, put yourself in that early adopter mode to remember, right, if I want to adjust the mirrors, I need to go into this menu and use the toggle, whereas in the Kia, it's totally conventional. So this is the GT Line-S rear-wheel drive. As I said earlier, it's 230 horsepower, nowhere near as much as the standard range Tesla or some of the other cars I've tested, but it's just the right amount. So it's 60 in 7.3 seconds, and that's just enough to make very safe overtakes and still have enough punch to carry what really is a 2.2 ton car about the place. I think the Model Y is an interesting car to compare this to. The Model Y is obviously much bigger. That's the advantage. The Model Y has that huge load capacity, but this is it's a hatchback SUV. It's not quite an SUV, it's sort of in between, but it is an interesting comparison. Model Y these days is about £58,000 and the base one of these is 44, so that's a significant chunk of cash. And the EV6 has some things going for it, like the button count, like Apple CarPlay, that the Tesla just doesn't have, and the vehicle to load as well, which make it a compelling choice. It also drives better. This is although the Model Y is much quicker, 4.8 to 60 for the long range, but it is quite uncomfortable on a B road. It's too hard, and you really need to drive one to understand that. This is rolling on the 20s. The Tesla, I think I had on the 20-inch wheels as well, and it just was not as nice a place to be on a long journey with different types of road surface and all the rest. I would rather be in the cheaper EV6. So Kia have done something very right with this car. Now, talking a bit about the interior, it is, you don't have a leather trimmed dash or things, or nice leather door cards like you would have in the i4 M50 or something like that. Although of course that car is again 20k more than the base one of these, but it's perfectly acceptable. The seats are very comfortable. There is a reasonable level of class in here. Like, we do have we have mood lighting, so we have a blue hue along the dash here, and we have piano black, and this centre console is excellent because it's just such a fantastic use of space. You've got this very high armrest, and why should it not be nice and high and wide? And your cup holder is perfectly here. handy to you. It's almost like the gear stick to steering wheel ratio that I talked about on my GT4. The hand to coffee ratio is perfect. You rest your arm there and the wireless charger here rather than being buried down in round there. It's a shame that the CarPlay isn't wireless. Actually, I've had to plug my phone in. You could of course get an adapter. Kia say there will be a software update for that as well. The infotainment system is perfectly fine. It just wouldn't have the polish of BMW's latest iDrive or the Tesla system, but it's, as I say, it's perfectly adequate. It gives an endless amount of customization on everything from how the car drives to preheating the car on a cold day to just lots and lots of adjustability, which I haven't actually felt too much of a need to delve into. The screen's very clear as well. I'm sitting at the moment, just tell you the trip computer there, so I reset it yesterday and I've done 3 hours of driving, 82.6 miles, and that's been on various bits of road at 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. That is excellent. The only other cars that are going to get that sort of level of range and economy are the Teslas, because if you're hovering in and around the 4 miles per kilowatt hour mark, you've a comfortable 300 miles range. That is significantly better than the standard range, more expensive Model 3. So, in summary, Kia have produced something that I think it looks fabulous. As a piece of design, it's less divisive than the Ioniq 5, which was sort of that 80s neo-noir futuristic look. This is much more conventionally stylish and impressive and different. And because we have Tesla, then badge snobbery becomes less of an issue. Behind a Kia Ceed estate, and that's old Kia. You just couldn't compare the two. They're just from a totally different planet. So it rides really well. It's fantastic value. They all have the larger 77 kilowatt hour battery. They all have 300 miles range. So there's literally no range anxiety. It has all the toys you could ever want, even in the base spec. Even in the base spec it looks well. Even in the base spec you have some decent colours. Okay, I think white and black are free, and the rest there's a small charge, but it looks good. This is somewhere that it is very spacious as well, and you could just take the whole family. You could be 5 up on a full boot and drive to Cork from Belfast on one charge to 200 miles without breaking a sweat and being perfect comfort. You would get out very fresh and you'd be quite happy to get back in the car and do the same journey again. This car actually has good fast charging as well, 230 kilowatt chargers or something like that. It can 235 maybe. So of course the fast charging infrastructure in Northern Ireland is hardly there, but I had it on a 120 kilowatt charger at IKEA, which was just a stress-free experience. You have your vehicle to load and other wee things like that. It's very practical, loads of cubbies and pockets and a significant size of glove box. USB-C ports, as I said, scattered around the place, just for family use, for an office on the road, for camping, somewhere to put the dog in to take it for a walk. It just covers all the bases, and I actually think for the first time it's a Kia that you might actually look back on the driveway and say, yeah, I like that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this review of the Kia EV6. I certainly have enjoyed driving it. I'd just like to say thanks to Charles Hurst Kia in Newton Abbey for providing the car.